Discussion forward is Jayant Dasgupta, India's former ambassador to the WTO, and Meera Shankar, former ambassador to the US. Ms. Shankar and Mr. Dasgupta, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. Mr. Dasgupta, let me start by asking you, India has now decided to postpone the retaliatory duties that were likely to kick in from the 4th of August. This, I would imagine, is being done because there is a 2+2 dialogue that is expected in the first week of September, and perhaps India feels it's prudent not to clear the pitch ahead of that. You think this is a smart move?
I feel that this is the correct move because, once retaliation takes place, then it becomes more difficult to retrace one's steps. And ultimately, the objective has to be kept in sight. And the objective is to resolve the differences with the U.S. on this point as soon as possible and as satisfactorily as possible. And the discussions which have taken place in mid-July apparently have been quite fruitful. And of course, no conclusion has been reached. So there is hope that it will be resolved amicably between the two sides. And even the dispute settlement mechanism of the WTO allows for any party, even when a dispute has been lodged, as India has done, to withdraw its complaint at any point till the panel report comes out. So at any point of time, it can be withdrawn, provided there is satisfactory resolution of the issue. So India has taken the right decision, and in
how likely?
Yes.
Okay, you're saying that India has taken the right decision by postponing the retaliatory tariffs, but how likely do you believe an exemption is? India is obviously going to seek an exemption from the US. The US continues to follow this preferential protectionist approach. It's now talking about imposing even higher tariffs when it comes to Chinese goods. But do you believe that that an exemption, if at all, is possible for India from the steel and aluminum duties front?
If you look at what the U.S. has done in respect of Australia, it has exempted Australia from duties. It has, of course, worked out some kind of voluntary restraints on the part of South Korea. So I wouldn't put it past the realm of possibility that we get an exemption, because in any case, we are very small exporters of steel and iron and aluminium to the U.S. So it doesn't really threaten their national security in any way, to my mind. So it is, they have to have a larger view of the strategic dialogue that is going to take place in September. And in view of that, I think it is quite possible that they may withdraw the duties against India.
Okay, so you believe that an exemption on the part of the U.S. is also likely. The former ambassador to the U.S., Meera Shankar, here with us as well. Ma'am, do you agree with Jayant Dasgupta that this was the right move on India's part to hold back on the retaliatory tariffs? And what would your expectation now be from the 2+2 dialogue in September?
See, I think any decision to pull back from retaliatory tariffs would really be contingent on an assessment on how the trade dialogue is going and if there look to be possibilities of a mutually satisfactory settlement. There have also been two other positive developments in the relationship in recent months. First is the exemption that that has been provided to traditional partners of Russia who are transitioning for a potential waiver from the CAATSA. So that would make it easier for India to go ahead with the S-400 deal. This was an issue on which there was concern in India that you don't have, secondary sanctions which, ascribe extraterritorial reach. So I think that's a positive development. And the Pentagon has been at the forefront of piloting this. The second is the decision to provide India with combat drones, because till now, the U.S. has not been, has really been willing to give us surveillance drones, but not actual drones which can shoot weapons. So the combat
Right.
drones also ups the level of technology that the U.S. is willing to share with India. And the third is this decision that because the Obama administration had taken a decision to name India major defense partner, saying that it will be treated on par with its major allies. Now that has been codified because nobody really knew what it meant, you know, in specific terms. But now the U.S. has made clear that we will be treated on par with their, I think 36 or so countries have this status worldwide.
Yes,
and most
yes.
of them are allies of the U.S. Again, it means that the level of technology that the U.S. is willing to share with India, the, you know, the ease with which we would be able to procure technologies, because many would not now require licenses, would certainly improve. So all these are positive developments. On the trade front, I think the jury is still out how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But, you know, if the assessment is that things are moving, that there are possibilities of resolution through in a mutually satisfactory way, then, you know, the tendency would be not to take any precipitate action, which could cloud that.
Yeah. Sure. So as I pointed out, they wouldn't want to queer the pitch ahead of the 2+2 dialogue. And important issues that you mentioned, the CATSA exemption specifically, so that India can go through with the S-400 is a significant one. But I want to get both of you to comment on the other big development when it comes to Indo-U.S. ties. And Mr. Dasgupta, let me start by asking you, the White House now confirming that, yes, India has extended an invitation to President Trump to be the special guest at our Republic Day celebrations next year. They're also pointing out that no final decision has been taken, but that the process of dialogue on a possible presidential visit will happen during the course of the 2+2. How significant is this?
I think this is extremely important and significant because it, you know, takes our bilateral relationship to the next higher level. And prior to the visit of President Trump, because a lot of events would be scheduled around that visit. So before that, there would be intensive dialogues on several fronts. And the minor issues that we still have outstanding with the U.S. or they have with us, there is a great likelihood that those will get sorted out, many of those. So it is something to look forward to. And I think, would be very happy if President Trump accepts the invitation and does grace the 26th January function.
Ms. Shankar, how significant is it going to be? I mean, we've had President Obama in the past be the special guest for our Republic Day parade, and now the White House confirming that, yes, President Trump is considering India's request, though a decision has not been taken yet.
I think it's important that the visit to India by a U.S. president takes place in his first term. And that's something which Obama did both in his first and second terms. So till now, President Trump has not really visited India, but he should do it during his first term. If he can accept the decision to come as the guest for Republic Day, it would be good. If not, there should be, you know, an ongoing dialogue to have the visit as early as possible. Because, you know, his focus in Asia right now has been largely on East Asia, on North Korea, on China, and so on. And there's been, you know, not much attention to this part of the world. And for the increasing convergence between the two countries with regard to establishing a balance in Asia for the long term, in ways which contribute to peace and stability and prosperity here, it's something which the two countries should certainly have on the agenda. You know, you can't have India off the radar screen in Washington and yet claim that it is a major partner.
You're absolutely right. Well, we'll see what the White House finally does decide on that invitation. But for now, India is likely to hold back on the retaliatory measures which were to kick in from the 4th of August, and the 2+2 dialogue will kickstart in September. Jayant Dasgupta, former ambassador to the WTO, and Meera Shankar, former ambassador to the US, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18 on both those developments. We'll take a break. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere.